Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer, big card, Breeders' Cup preview card at Belmont at the Big A on Saturday. And race number 4 could be a preview for maybe the Breeders' Cup Classic or the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. Let's throw up the field for the Grade 2 $400,000 Woodward. We're going a mile and an eighth on the dirt. 5 entered. The Chilean Wonder Horse, the 5K Army, will scratch. That leaves us with a field of 4. And it's a sad state of affairs when a race like the Woodward, you and I grew up, the Woodward had a race with such immense historical significance, is now reduced to this.
Yeah, it really is a shame. At least if K Army being entered, it sort of added a little intrigue, Dan. And now it sounds like he's not going to run, and so we're left with 4 horses, none of whom are that interesting as things move forward down the line here towards the Breeders' Cup. I mean, we'll see how it all plays out. I guess everybody who's left in the field is capable of a really strong effort. None of them are that reliable, I don't think.
Let's throw up our Timeform US pace projector. It could be key in a 4-horse field. As you can see, Timeform US has a blue bar, which indicates that this race could favor frontrunners. And Skippy Longstocking, fresh off a win in the Charlestown Classic for the second straight year in gate-to-wire fashion, projects to make the lead.
Just looks loose in here with what's left in the field. We'll see if anybody, sort of steps out of their comfort zone, Dan, and sort of goes after them early. Maybe make some race a little bit in here. I mean, just based on how it shakes out, this pace projector is pretty hard to argue with. I mean, he does look loose on the lead.
Krupe, the number 2, has the fastest Timeform US late pace rating. He actually finished ahead of Skippy Longstocking 2 starts back in the Whitney. We'll talk about that race in a bit. But first, let's watch Skippy Longstocking's second consecutive win in the Charlestown Classic. They handed him the lead, and a horse with his running style just seems to love this sort of bull ring. Speed plays well there. He gets around those tight turns very nicely, and he's probably just better than these horses anyway.
Yeah, I mean, once he got loose on the lead, that race was basically over. But it's not like he probably wasn't going to win anyway, even if he didn't make the lead. It wasn't a particularly strong field. It's pretty evident from looking at him on paper, Dan. I mean, he's got the right running style for this. The 9 furlongs isn't a really big issue for him. And he's got, a race or 2 or maybe even 3 or 4 that if he runs it in here, he's going to be really, really hard to beat.
He's a millionaire. So is the number 2 Krupe, who won the Grade 2 Suburban, his first start back since an overseas excursion in the Dubai World Cup. He then ran into the Freak Next, trying to go long in the Brooklyn 2 starts back. And here's his most recent run, the Grade 1 Whitney over a wet track. You see Skippy Longstocking in second. He didn't make the lead in this race. He was forced to be on a hard chase behind faster fractions against Arthur's Ride, and he pays the price. Krupe sat near the back. He gets to the outside. He changes leads just outside the 8th pole, and he comes with a good, strong run for second.
It's a good effort from Krupe. He did have some things playing to his advantage in it because this pace was rock solid, and everybody got tired chasing the winner. I don't think it takes away too much from what Krupe did in here, Dan, though, because this is a horse who, I mean, at least in my opinion, it's pretty clear that he's come back a much improved horse as a 4-year-old. You could see him getting better towards the end of last year. I do think he's carried that forward this year. His running style is a little bit problematic, obviously, but there are races. I mean, you have to go back a little bit, but there are races where he was able to keep the pace within range and still finish. And I think that's a good sign for him because he's a better horse now than he was then.
And you're talking about a race like the Discovery last year, which coincidentally was over the same course and distance as the Woodward, where the pace wasn't necessarily fast. Krupe was able to stay within range. And if this race turns into a full-out sprint for home, Krupe has a very, very strong kick. He's dangerous, and he probably won't be the favorite. His stablemate is a millionaire. That's the 3 Tapit Trice. And as good as Tapit Trice looked in his return from a long layoff in the Monmouth Cup was as bad as he was last time out in the Jockey Club. He sat a really good trip tracking a pace battle, turned into the basically on fumes, and then re-rallied mildly to just miss getting third.
Yeah, I mean, that's a hard performance to get behind the jockey. Whether or not you thought he was going to win there anyway, he just got such a good trip in that race, and it felt like he should have taken advantage of it, and he really didn't. I don't know. I did like his return from the layoff. I liked some of the things that he did as a 3-year-old. Also, I wonder if I'm being a little too hard on him for the Jockey Cup Gold Cup because that race makes me not want to bet him back in here, even though I know that he can win this race for sure.
And he has good tactical speed.
Yeah.
It's not like he has to be quarter horsed out of there to get position. He's likely going to be sitting second as the pace projector has him, and he's going to maybe make a good stiff run at Skippy Longstocking. Masquerade completes the field. He's always been an honest horse, although I've always felt he's been a cut below these types. He ran fine against Crouppy in the Suburban 3 starts back, but I thought he had a shot at it. I'm not going to fault him for the Brooklyn nor the Birdstone.
Yeah, me either. I'm just not much of a fan of this horse, and I don't really see how he's going to be able to beat all three of the horses to his inside. I do think he can get the right trip in this race, Dan. I'm just not convinced he's going to be able to take advantage of it.
Top pick time for the Grade 2 Woodward. Mike, you're going with Crouppy, who has shown the ability to stay close if the pace is super soft. And I think you're right. Ever since the end of last year, he's reached maturity. It's carried over into this season, and he's earned some very strong numbers. Plus, you know he's going to stay this distance.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see. I mean, this isn't much of a betting race, I don't think, Dan, but he's not going to be the favorite in here. And I'm not so sure that as things stand, at least right now, I'm just not so sure that he isn't the best horse in this race.
Skippy Longstocking does seem to have the pace edge, however, and he often hulks up a little bit once he gets a backstretch breather. That being said, he's likely going to be the favorite in here, and I'm pretty sure I'm just going to watch this year's edition of the Woodward. I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. Mike's going 2, 1, 3. We'll see if Todd Pletcher, who has 2 of the 4 in the Woodward, can get it done on Saturday. Big day of racing at Belmont at the Big A. Best of luck. Hey, let me give you a hot tip. If you liked the content that you've seen before, click on the like and subscribe button right here. And of course, for more DRF videos like Race of the Days, stakes previews, click on the videos right here.